large scale tillage grain agriculture, which is, feeds most people on the planet right now, but also way back thousands of years ago. It's just been the mainstream pattern. Because it depletes the soil and the land over time, it requires for the society to sustain itself using those unsustainable methods. It requires them to continue to have to expand and expand and expand into new, more, still fertile territories in order to keep producing food for its population. And of course, these other territories weren't always vacant or aren't always vacant. There's existing inhabitants. And so too often those existing inhabitants have to be either conquered or assimilated to continue the expansion of these unsustainable cultures. Some examples would be like the ancient Roman Empire, the ancient Egyptians, and so on. So, those unsustainable cultures that depend on unsustainable forms of agriculture have to develop the skills and tools of conquest, as well as like the cultural values and the stories that justify that. So like the doctrine of discovery is something you can look up, which came out of the Catholic Church and like justified a lot of the expansion into the new world, into the Americas and so forth, the New World. But so, as the expansion and conquest is part of the survival strategy of unsustainable cultures, because they keep depleting their land base that they started on. So, and this kind of ties in, I think, a little bit, or it could tie into that pattern I identified in myself, how, I'm always chasing after like the next new thing, the grass is always greener on the other side. Maybe that's like a personality pattern that I unconsciously sort of inherited from the colonial culture that, we've sort of emerged from. But yeah, so all too often, those cultures that are being conquered tend to be the ones who are living more sustainably, because they don't have the need to focus as many of their resources on warfare. So, and there's other factors as well, like people that are doing the settled agriculture tend to live in closer proximity to their livestock, which tends to breed more diseases and epidemics. And of course, then when they encounter, those who are living more nomadically, those diseases can of course kill off huge parts of that population who might be living more sustainably. So this just, creates another pattern of why, unsustainable cultures have sort of come to dominate the globe. So, and then where we're at now is they basically dominated pretty much all corners of the globe. And, like I said, unsustainable forms of agriculture are now the mainstream way of doing agriculture. And this process has just been accelerated with the invention of massive fossil fuel powered machines for cultivation. But again, the good news is that we can actually restore the soils and increase biological diversity, wildlife habitat, and all the rest, while producing nutrient dense and chemical free food using some of these regenerative agriculture techniques. But the key is to, like you said, work with nature, not be just decimating everything and expanding like that.